Welcome to City on the Sofa here on LCFC TV for this huge game between Leicester City and Manchester United. Joining me, Dan Bates, in the studio are three Leicester legends. Gerry, Taggart, Steve Walsh and Iwan Robertson will be taking you all the way up until kick-off throughout the game. We'll have the post-match reaction as well to what will hopefully be a huge day in the history of Leicester City Football Club. Well, yes, after almost a year, it all comes down to this and the game between Leicester City and Manchester United at King Power Stadium in the Premier League. I'm Dan Bates. As I said there, we've got Gerry, Taggart, Steve Walsh and Iwan Roberts joining me for the game today. And it's deep breaths all round everywhere, isn't it, at the moment? The nerves have pretty much hit everyone, Gerry, haven't they?
Yeah, I think so. You know, obviously, when you take into consideration the results after we come back from lockdown, it hasn't been exactly what Brendan Rodgers would have hoped for. And on the flip side of that, Manchester United have had an incredible run of games while they've remained unbeaten. And unfortunately, it all boils down to this game that kicks off in just under an hour. So there's a few nerves around, for sure.
Walshy, Leicester City will know exactly what they need to do, though, won't they?
I'm sure they do. It's simple. They've got to go and beat Man United today, and that will guarantee. I'm not going into any stats or anything today, Gerry. So we're all right because
I love it.
I am just focusing on a win for that's the only way for me. Let's look over our shoulder after the game and say right. Then you can look at someone else's results. But at the minute, I think the players that obviously they've got to go in focused and with that same mindset really that we've got to go and beat Man United first, because if you go in looking for a draw or playing safe too much, then things will go wrong. But it's a huge day again in the history of Leicester City, and this roller coaster ride. I said it was going to go to the end of the season, to the last game. It certainly has. I hope I'm right with my prediction, but we'll see. We've got a long way, and the nerves are jangling. But this team on the day can beat anyone. We've said that, and they've got to turn up every single player today and give their all like they have done all season. Because you look back at every game, the effort and commitment. You can't fault what they've done this season, and it all boils down to this game now. And I'm sure they'll give the same effort and commitment, and hopefully the performance that is needed to turn over a Man United team who have got quite a bit of momentum, although the last result, they were pretty poor. But still, you look at the squad, you look at the team, and it's going to be hard to beat.
And Iwan Roberts, as ever, thank you very much for joining us from your home in Norwich for the game today. And it's a massive one, isn't it, for one of your former clubs?
It is. As Tag mentioned there, it hasn't been great since the restart of the season. Only the 9 points won in 8 games, and you just got the feeling that the form Leicester were in. That you looked at the last game of the season, Manchester United at home. You just got the feeling that it would go down to this last game. It's in Leicester's hands. That's the only thing I think you can ask as a club and as a professional footballer, that if you take care of your business, it doesn't matter what else happens elsewhere. Yeah, it'd be nice if one of my other former clubs, Wolves, can go down to Stamford Bridge and do us a favour down there. But it's in Leicester's hands. I think there's a couple of positives for me. Since the restart, they've been very good at home. A great win against Sheffield United and Crystal Palace. A point against Brighton. 3 clean sheets at home, which is good. And I've been looking. Leicester on the last day of the season have just lost once in 12 seasons. So let's hope that carries on today.
Yeah, fingers crossed it stays that way, Iwan. Well, that's our team on LCFC TV. Before we look at the Leicester and Manchester United teams for today, we want you guys at home to be as involved with the show as we are. Do send in all of your thoughts, predictions and pictures of where you'll be watching the Foxes from this afternoon. That's exactly what a few of these guys already have done. They've used either the hashtag LCFC or hashtag #ThenNowAgain. This is Mark. He says the little one is ready for an exciting game. He's used the hashtag #ThenNowAgain. Nina says she's match day ready. Let's do this. Hashtag LCFC, hashtag #ThenNowAgain. And Luke says, ready for the big game this afternoon. Come on, you boys. This is another fantastic garden setup, and it looks like another lovely day out there, Gerry, to be supporting your team.
Absolutely. I think if Leicester managed to do it today, I might be heading round to his garden afterwards.
I'd rather be in Top's garden because it's his birthday today. So, I think that it'd be fitting tribute, especially for his father, if we could get that win for him on his birthday. It'd be, just the icing on the cake, wouldn't it? If that happened, it'd be great.
Yeah, a big happy birthday to Kuntop as well. For £1.50, you can get a virtual matchday programme as well today, Kuntop. There's an exclusive interview with him in there, so do make sure you give that a read. Right, let's take a look at the teams then, starting with Leicester City, Gerry. Mm-hmm. Are you surprised at all with what you see? We've got it down there again as a back three. But it could also be a back four. I guess our guess is as good as everybody's and all those fans out there, just exactly how they do line up. But that's how we've got it. So Evans, Morgan and Justin as the three central defenders. Mark Albright and Luke Thomas, either wing-backs with Chowdhury and Ndidi Tielemans and Vardy and Iheanacho up front.
Yeah, I think, one or two probably question marks for me is Iosi Perez not in the team. I think he's been excellent. I didn't see the game last Sunday, because I was walking on a beach in South Wales somewhere. But, James Justin coming in potentially into that centre-half role, brings in out a bit of pace. You look at their, attacking line-up, Manchester United, it's full of pace, full of endeavour, full of creativity. I can see why that's happened. And obviously, Vardy and Iheanacho, keeping Iheanacho keeping his place up front. But probably Leicester need that bit of creativity for me, and I just think that Tielemans in that role, I don't think that's his best role. We've seen him playing that holding role alongside Ndidi, and then releasing himself and going and joining in, and I think he's been very effective there. And Perez has been very effective in that sort of number 10 role where Maddison has been playing. So one or two question marks, but as I say, Brendan sees him day in, day out. He knows better than me. I'll just give my opinion.
Ewan, how do you see it? A back three or a back four?
I think you've got it spot on with three central defenders. Because you look at Mark Albright, I think he plays as a wing back anyway. To be honest with you, I think he does that much work defensively for the team. I think it will be a back three. Three centre halves, obviously the two wing backs. It's something that Brendan's he's tested in the past, and I think the last 2 or 3 games he's used that formation. So I can't see it changing. And it allows you to play 2 centre forwards, and Leicester need to go out and score goals today.
Well, hopefully they do just that. Walshy, you can talk us through the Manchester United team then. David De Gea, of course, he starts for them in goal. We think it's going to be a back four again for them, Walshy. So Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof, the two central defenders. Wan-Bissaka and Brandon Williams, the fullbacks. Pogba and Matic with Fernandes, Greenwood and Rashford supporting Anthony Martial.
I think we all know that United, going forward are a massive threat. Fernandes especially, key playmaker now in that number 10 role. They've got so much pace and wide with Rashford and Greenwood, Martial up front. Now, you look at De Gea, his confidence at the moment, we've got to test him out early, I'd say, if we can. He's always liable to make a mistake, so that's encouraging. Obviously, it's great to see Harry Maguire back in a sense of him coming back to Leicester. I just wish there was, an audience, a crowd. I think it's going to miss that. Leicester will miss that badly today, because that, it's like a. You imagine the King Power if all that crowd was here today, it'd be a phenomenal game. But unfortunately, it's not. And we've got to get on with it. But no, you're right. Since the restart, Man United have been strong. They've been since Christmas. They've looked that they've got that momentum, and they're starting to get players fit again. The squad as a whole, you just look on the bench what they've got to offer. There's so many options for them, and they will be the favourites, but there's a mistake in them. We've said it before, and Harry Maguire will be relishing the challenge, and he'll be a bit nervous before today's game with, he's got Jamie Vardy breathing down his neck, and one mistake from him, but he's a composed player, is Harry. You can see his effect on Man United, and Lindelof alongside him. There's probably been the most solid that they've had there, even though again, he's probably not the right partner for Harry Maguire, I wouldn't say. But again, Wan-Bissaka back in the team now. You look at the last game against West Ham, it wasn't that encouraging, it wasn't that great, it looked lethargic. And West Ham caused them quite a lot of problems. So I believe that Leicester, if we're on it, we've got enough attacking threats ourselves to cause enough problems and win this game. It's a very tactical game, as we can see. We're not 100% what system Leicester City are playing, today. But I think we can more or less guess what it is. But Man United is pretty set in stone how they play, and we know that. And it's going to be Justin. Young Luke Thomas are going to have to really, really be on the toes and be ready for this game, because they're lacking that experience to play against a team like Man United, but they're well capable, Justin especially. So we're set for a fantastic game.
Well, that's the team news then from here at King Power Stadium. The other game of interest at Stamford Bridge. No real surprises from a Wolves point of view. Raul Jimenez, of course, starting up front for the visitors there, but no Kepa for Chelsea today. He has been dropped, so Caballero comes in as the goalkeeper for Chelsea in that other huge game with significance for European places. Let's hear now from Kasper Schmeichel. He may be busy. Leicester may be calling upon him, of course, this afternoon in goal for Leicester City. He's been addressing Leicester's current form since lockdown.
When you look at our form over the whole season, we're a young squad. There's going to be inconsistencies, and I think probably too much of a negative has been made of our situation. It's an unbelievable situation. We're in an amazing situation, and we can't use form from previously to kind of dictate what one game's going to be. It's basically just a cup final.
The fact that you had such an incredible start, that is still the mindset you're in. The buzz around the place is like it was, say, on January 1st when Leicester were at their absolute peak.
Most definitely. Like I say, look at the possibilities for us. That there's a possibility for us, and that's all we could possibly ask for. We don't have the size and the finances to compete on paper with the likes of Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, whoever, but we are. So for me, that's a massive positive.
Yeah, so obviously you're desperate to be in the Champions League, but let's say that doesn't happen. Has it still been a great season for Leicester regardless?
I think anybody who looks at it objectively would say yes, 100%. If you remove the feelings and the emotions and the pride and things like that, then you definitely say yes. And again, you go back to the start of the season. If someone said to you, the Leicester City, we're going to be Europa League, that would be classed as a successful season. Obviously, the possibility of Champions League was there at the start of the season as well, and that had been a dream. And here we are, 37 games in, and it's still a possibility.
Well, Gerry, you were nodding along there to Kasper Schmeichel at the end of that interview there, and he kind of summed up what we've been saying a lot here on City on the Sofa in the past couple of weeks or so, that yes, it has been disappointing the way that it's gone since lockdown, but Leicester fans should be so happy, and those Leicester players will be delighted. If they were offered 5th place at the beginning of the season, hopefully it will be better than that, but if they were offered that at the beginning of the season, they'd have had a great season, and they have had a great season.
Yeah, it has been a great season, and when you analyse it and break it down, then you have to say, the reason why I was nodding along with Kasper was because he talked about the young squad and there's going to be inconsistencies. And I've been saying that for the whole season, even when we were punching above our weight at the beginning of the season. And it's very, very easy for people to get carried away when you're in good form and you're turning big clubs over. But we've seen the reality of the Premier League and the reality of the big teams coming back into form and, you know, causing upsets. So it's no surprise. Well, I say it's no surprise. It is a bit of surprise that, you know, Manchester United have overtaken us and we find ourselves in fifth place. But you have to put the whole season into perspective. And for Leicester, with the squad, the average age of that squad, to get into a guaranteed European spot, and we still don't know which European competition we're going to be in. But for them to actually get into that European spot has been a mammoth achievement this season.
Yeah, whatever happens, of course, Leicester will be in a European competition next season. As Gerry said, it's just a question of which one. Ewan, we can take a look now at the league table and the various permutations going into the game. Obviously, we know that Chelsea play Wolves. That could have an effect on Leicester going into the game. Well, what happens there might have an effect on what could happen here, for example.
Absolutely. Just go and take care of your business, Dan. You know, that's the message that Brendan, I'm sure, will be giving to his players before he sends them out. Go and win the game. You're more than capable, even though, you know, Man U, yeah, they're on a good run, not lost in their last 13 Premier League games. They've won twice as many points in lockdown, since football returned, that Leicester have. If you look at some of the games they've played, they have had an easier last 9 games. There's no two ways about that. And Leicester have got the tools, especially with 2 centre forwards now, to go and win that game. And I agree with Walshy when he spoke about De Gea. He's not the goalkeeper that he was 2-3 years ago. Totally agree with there's a mistake in both centre halves, Maguire and Lindelof. And there's no centre forward that works harder, in my opinion, than Jamie Vardy. There's no centre forward that puts pressure on central defenders more than Jamie Vardy. And if he does that today, he might get a little bit of a gift from one of those two.
Yeah, hopefully he does. Walsh, just looking at that league table, do you think that will almost be something that Brendan Rodgers is showing the players? I'm sure they don't need it showing. They'll know exactly where they stand. But if you just look at that, you say, you win today and you will be playing Champions League football next season.
Right, see, that's what I said at the start. I'm not going into any stats, and I'm still not going to do that. But yeah, listen, I think everybody knows the enormity of finishing 3rd and 4th or 5th. It's just a huge, you know, financial situation that we all know. But listen, you know, it's like what Brendan said at the start. We you know, we would have targeted the top 6 this season, and we finished, you know, at least 5th. So it is a great achievement, but you know, it's come down to a penultimate match, and you know, I can empathise with the squad and with the manager that, you know, it's just a situation that's arisen, and it probably, we should have been over the line a little while ago. We could have been, but everyone can look back at results and say we should have done better here, there, and we have got a young squad who are a little bit inconsistent performances at times, as we know, and a bit of naivety, but still, it's where we are now. And what we've done this season is absolutely terrific. Now, it'd be great if we can, you know, just show the world that we can compete and beat a top 4 team, you know, because Man United are one of the superpowers of football, aren't they? So we've done it before against Man United with Jamie Vardy, especially knows all about that, and it's a game that, if we are there, all 11 players today have got to give, you know, just everything they've got. And you can't, you know, you look back at that game afterwards, whether we've done it or whether we've not, and we've give it everything. And that's all that the fans want. And to be honest with you, that's what they've given all season. So it's just a game that we look at now and go, come on, let's get over the line now and finish in that top 4, because they've deserved to do it. You know, since September they've been in that top 4. It'd be brilliant if they could just stay in it.
Gerry, do you think it almost suits Leicester a little bit that they are now actually in 5th place? That the pressure, in a sense, is on Chelsea and Manchester United. They're the ones now that are expected almost to make that Champions League spot. Leicester can kind of go into the game almost with an underdog's tag.
Well, yeah, you could say that, but I suppose on the flip side of that, it's about what, you know, Brendan Rodgers has perceived, you know, the games, the results, the performances after coming back from lockdown, and the goals that he set himself individually as Brendan Rodgers, the manager. You know, you could look at this game as being a cup final. This game is probably bigger than the FA Cup final because of what's at stake. So it's all about how Brendan applies that pressure onto the players. But, you know, there is a train of thought that says that, yeah, you could be right, the pressure's off us slightly. He's, in a way, you know, gained the target that he was set and which he spoke about at the beginning of the season, which was try and break into the top 6. So he has achieved that. On the flip side, again, you say, well, where they were when they came out of lockdown to where they are now has been not to everyone's agreement, but, you know.
And I think, Gerry, it shows you Man United in the FA Cup, they rested 8 players, didn't they?
Yeah,
you know, right. And it just shows you what the priorities were. You know, it's for finishing that top 4.
Of course
it is, without a doubt. And they've thrown the FA Cup really in a sense of, you know, this is more important. And you can see where they are in the league now. They're knocking on the door. They've come from nowhere, but the momentum's took them right through. It's good timing. I must admit that they needed changing. You know, Man United was in a mess, and whatever you say, Solskjaer's doing well. I
think the way you can probably read it is Brendan Rodgers will probably play it down in the press and in the media, whereas Solskjaer can't afford to do that because it's Manchester United. And, you know, the size of the club as a global entity. Manchester United are expected to be in the Champions League year in, year out. Whereas Leicester, little old Leicester, should I say, you know, they're not expected to, you know, to try and break the door down to get into the Champions League. So that's probably the train of thought where Brendan would probably slightly play it down. Ole Gunnar Solskjær can't afford that.
Well, let's hear from the Leicester City manager, Brendan Rodgers, then. He's been assessing his first full season in charge of the Foxes.
Yeah, I think what has probably happened to ourselves, I think at the beginning of the season, the reality and expectancy was not too far away from each other. But because of the performance level of the players and how they've done over the course of the season, that level of expectancy has grown away from the actual reality of where we're at as a club. And that's purely down to the performance level of the players. And now we are actually arriving into the last game of the season, you know, playing against Manchester United, one of the superpowers in world football, with a chance of going above them to make it into the Champions League. So for me, the players have had a really, really good season. European football being our goal, and now with one last shot at going one further and making the Champions League. And I think that in itself tells you how well the players have done this season.
You mentioned in an earlier answer that you've had a full week to prepare. Manchester United haven't. Will that play any part on Sunday?
I'm not sure. I know that after our game, and it's not something that we wanted to talk about in the aftermath of Tottenham, but I felt we were tired and leggy in that game. I think we had a great performance against Sheffield United on the Thursday. The turnaround in the game, I felt, watching us, even though there was parts of the games we did well, we got done on 3 counter-attacks in the game. But I actually felt we were maybe a little bit leggy. But I'm happy that we can recover well, put a plan in place and a strategy in place, and then be fresh as we possibly can be for the game. So, but how that affects other teams, I don't know. But I know for us, the week gives us every opportunity now.
Well, I know you guys watching there got a couple of seconds of Gerry Taggart midway through that Brendan Rodgers interview. He was looking very smug with himself because basically he'd said exactly what Brendan Rodgers had just said there in his press conference, Gerry. And it was the point that you were making that, as he said, and he's almost ramped the pressure up on Manchester United more, hasn't he?
Yeah, and rightly so, because, when you take the size of both clubs, the wage demands that Manchester United have, with the players that they bring in, their expectation levels, go through the roof. And so, Brendan is playing, a very smart game there with a press and playing down the pressure. But inside his office with his staff, and obviously, if Leicester manage to get over the line and get into the Champions League, then that just becomes, even more monumental than the season that they've already had. It's as simple as that for me, especially with, like I've said before, the inexperience that he has with the players at his disposal at the minute.
Ewan, do you think it's fair to say that potentially the pressure could be more on Manchester United than it is on Leicester today?
I think it is 100%, Dan. I really, really do. And yeah, if you look at the fixtures after January the 1st, when Leicester beat Newcastle at home and Manchester United, I think they lost Arsenal. I think there was a 14 points gap between the two after those two games. But at the start of the season, the plan was to try and break into the top four. It's not easy. But if, as a football club, you've got to improve and you want to see progression as each season goes on. You think Leicester finished 10th last season on 52 points, so that they've surpassed what they did last season. So that shows a vast improvement. And the pressure is on Manchester United, no two ways about that. They didn't qualify for the Champions League last season. I think they finished sixth. So it's not been all a bed of roses since Solskjær has taken over. And I think all the pressure is on them, even though they've got that safety net, if you like, of a draw would be enough to see them qualify in the top four. But absolutely, I totally agree with what you've just said, that all the pressure is on them.
Let's have another look now at the guys on social media, how you guys at home have been getting involved with us here. You can use the hashtag LCFC or hashtag then now again to feature on City on the Sofa today. That's exactly what these guys have done. Natalie Burns says, we're ready. LCFC. Kirsty says she's ready for a rather important last game of the season there. Everyone's enjoying the garden by the looks of things, as is Darren. Darren says, my boys are ready. And finally, Michael with a rallying call says, good luck, LCFC. Remember what this felt like. Go out there and fight for every ball and play with passion. That's all we ask. That's an interesting motivational tool, Walshy, isn't it? It is saying to those players that were here at Leicester City in 2016, 2017 and said, remember what those Champions League nights were like. We can have that again if we win today.
Well, yeah, that'd be fantastic, wouldn't it, to be involved again? And I think all around the world, everybody wants Leicester to beat Man United today. I think there's a lot of fans. I mean, I've been for a walk myself this morning and bumped into so many Leicester fans ready for, this afternoon and getting the feet up, watch the game at home in their own bars. And, it's just to still be in it and have this opportunity to go into the top four is terrific, like I said. And Man United have a different perspective on this. Like they say, they only need a point and they're not going to be taking any risks, that's for sure. So, we say the pressure is more on Man United. I suppose it is, in a sense that Man U have to finish in the top four as a club. But as a whole, I'd love to see Leicester do something today that just ensures a passage into the top four. It'd just be, typical, from 2016 when we obviously won the title, that it just shows you that a team of stature of Leicester can compete against the best clubs in the world, and we certainly can, and we can beat them on our day. So, like I say, we're just set for a fantastic game, and I just hope that we turn up and have a good go at it.
Ewan, take away any of the kind of nerves or excitement that might be in it from a Leicester fan or a Leicester bias point of view. Just the sense that this is a Premier League game, qualification for either the Champions League or the Europa League, goes down to the final game of the season. It's practically a straight shootout. As an occasion, this is brilliant, isn't it? And the fact that Leicester are involved in these types of games really shows you how far they've come in the last couple of years.
Absolutely, and that's why whatever happens today, I don't think it'd be right for us to think that it's been a failure, because it hasn't. A semi-final of a League Cup, a quarter-final of the FA Cup, been in the top four nearly all season. I can't remember off the top of my head if the club fell out of that top four since day one. So it's been a great season. It really has. Just go and finish it off now. You know, it's been, as we all know, it's been a strange season with the coronavirus and the 3 months gap in between when they beat Aston Villa 4-0 at the King Power and then to the restart of the season. So whatever happens today, I think that the club's in great hands. It's in good shape. There's been reasons for the poor form since the restart. You know, injuries have been key. You look at the players that have not been available in the last 4, 5, 6 games. You know, suspensions in the last couple have definitely hurt the football club, and they haven't got the finances that your Man City's have, your Liverpool's, your Man. Look at this Manchester United side. Solskjaer's, I mean, he paid a fortune for Maguire, 50 million for Wan-Bissaka. Fernandes was, 65, 70 million. They've spent an absolute fortune. They can ill afford not to finish in that top four. And that's why they're the ones that they're going to be under pressure. I'm so glad that the game's at the King Power. I really am. Even though there's no fans there, and the Leicester fans, they make so much noise when they play at home. It is totally different when there's no one there. But I'm just glad with their home form in lockdown, or since lockdown, that it's been good. They've scored goals apart from obviously that Brighton game.
Gerry, you've been having half an eye, haven't you, on some of the pictures from King Power Stadium, the Leicester players doing the warm-ups. I know there's not much you can draw too much from warm-ups themselves, but anything that's caught your eye at all?
No, I just think no one's, from a Leicester point of view, normally during those warm-ups where you see those little exercises, those little warm-up exercises to go through, you'll see one or two of the players having a little bit of a joke and a laugh at each other. But not today. Everyone's stern-faced, focused. You can see that, and you know, as they're running past the camera. So maybe that, again, is something that, you know, Brendan's, you know, said to them in the dressing room, and they've come out, and I can't see too many smiling faces. That's probably the only thing I've noticed.
Well, it looks the same in the Manchester United camp. Let's hear from their manager now, Ole Gunnar Solskjær, speaking about facing Leicester, and he says that this situation is all they could have asked for.
We're looking forward to the game. We have given ourselves a good chance of being in the Champions League next year, but that cannot be. We can't go into a game thinking about what the outcome can be. We've just got to go and perform at a high enough level and standard so we can get a result. We want to go there and dominate the game. We wanted to get to this position to be able to go to Leicester and having to beat them. And we're not going to change our approach. We want to go there and try and win a game. Focus and concentration is very, very vital in football. And when you play against quality teams, quality players, one lapse of concentration can hurt you. So we're going to go into it with a strong frame of mind. And it's not job done, as you said. We've gotten to this point, and we have one more game in this season. That's this season. This is a journey for this team. This is one extra step on the journey for this team, which we've come a long way mentally. I think we've shown more robustness, resilience when we've lost the first goal in games, for example. But we've also shown the heights when everything's flowing, which you can't expect every time. So I'm delighted with the how do you say it? How the development looks.
Walshy, what do you make of that from Ole Gunnar Solskjær talking about his Manchester United team, particularly the way they've played since lockdown?
I think any manager would look at this situation and think, hang on, we've not crossed the line yet. We've not made it into the top four, and that's what you've got to tell your players as well. There's no doubt in their mind, because that's the wrong attitude. If you think you've done it when you haven't, and then you're looking over your shoulder, they've got to come here and go, well, hang on. The manager will be thinking in his mind that, listen, if we play strong enough and resolute like we have been, we don't concede, then, you know, we've done it. But he'll be telling his players, look, we're going to go and we're going to attack Man United. We're going to be sensible. We're not going to take risks. They certainly, as a club, Man United are on the ascendance now in the sense of, they're a lot better than they were. They're certainly signing better players now, and for the next couple of years I would expect them to be challenging back up for the title with the squad that they've got, with a few additions if they get the right players. But like we say, when you look and analyse that squad, there's still mistakes in there's still errors, and we've got to force that today. And if we do, then we've not conceded many goals at home, I don't think, this season. So we're pretty strong at home. And we can score goals, so and it's against anyone. But like I say, I think that from a Man United point of view, they've got to be careful how they approach the game, because they've got to go for it as well. They've got to be in their minds that we're going to come here and we're going to win, not get a draw or a point. They're going to win.
Looking at that Manchester United team, Gerry, I think there's obviously a lot of confidence among Manchester United fans in their attacking capabilities, particularly the way Fernandes has played since January, and Greenwood's been in and amongst the goals. But it's defensively, I think, that there's the worry. Walsh was mentioning there that he thinks there will be chances today for the likes of Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. Lindelof has come back in and hasn't, set the world alight alongside Harry Maguire. Obviously, there's been a lot said about the goalkeeper as well. So I think it's important that you test those areas where you think Manchester United are weak, and you continually test them early, and keep on testing them, and see what happens, see what gives. Because as we've seen in the past, with Manchester United, especially, they have got frailties, especially at the back. And when you change your team like they did against Chelsea, I know there was a lot of changes, and they changed, and Chelsea took, full advantage of that. So that just shows what the frailties are. The problem that Leicester have is trying to stop Manchester United at the other end of the pitch, where they have been prolific since coming back from lockdown. That front three, along with Bruno Fernandes, is going to cause some real testing issues for Leicester City's backline today. So, they've got to concentrate more than ever before than trying to stop, the front three of Manchester United, along with Fernandes, and giving them not only advantage in goals, but then the psychological advantage, which then gives your defenders something to cling on to.
Yeah, you were speaking, sorry Walshy, about Jamie Vardy a little bit earlier, Ewan, and obviously going forward, he'll be up against Harry Maguire or obviously Lindelof, but he'll know a lot about Maguire, won't he, from his time at Leicester. He'll know what his strengths are, but more importantly, hopefully from a Leicester point of view, he'll know what his weaknesses are as well.
Absolutely, and he's got that sort of added incentive. He wants to win his first Golden Boot. He's 2 goals in front of Danny Ings at the minute. I'd love him to go out and get a couple today, just to make sure that award at the end of the season is his. I mean, remarkably, even though there's a huge question mark over the goalkeeper, De Gea, we've spoken about the mistakes that Maguire and Lindelof are capable of. The 2 fullbacks are very, very young, even though Wan-Bissaka has played quite a lot of Premier League games for Palace and for Manchester United. There's only the top 2 that have got a better defensive record than Manchester United. So even though we have pointed out some frailties, maybe they're not quite as weak defensively as people make out them to be. But yeah, Jamie he'll be itching to get one over on Harry Maguire. In a foot race, there's only one winner, and people say about pressure does silly things to you. And yeah, Man U, they have been good since the restart of football. But in the last couple of weeks, the pressure's got to them. They were very poor last week against Chelsea in the FA Cup semi-final. They threw a lead against Southampton twice, with Southampton scoring in the very, very last minute a couple of weeks ago. They drew with West Ham in midweek. A poor result for them, really. Had they won that, then you would have expected them to comfortably finish in the top 4. So even though they've been good, they've picked up plenty of points. there have been one or two chinks in their armour in the last few weeks.
Yeah, Ewan Roberts there mentioning how close Jamie Vardy is to his first Premier League Golden Boot. He's 2 goals clear of Danny Ings, who's in second place. It was also a good week as well for Jamie Vardy. He won the Players' Player of the Year and also the Fans' Player of the Year here at Leicester City. So big congratulations to Jamie Vardy there. We know you guys at home, obviously a lot of you will have voted for Jamie Vardy for that. And all of you watching, you won't just be watching from Leicester either. We'll have a number of international supporting Foxes today. This is from Texas, hoping for a big 3 points today to finish off my Premier League summer. Let's go LCFC, cheering on all the way from Texas. Loxie from Florida says, cheering on the lads from Jacksonville. Come on, you Foxes. So thank you very much to that one. And Chloe is in Menorca saying, come on, you Blues, cheering on Leicester City, of course, in a nice retro shirt there as well. So, Gerry, as ever, Leicester fans all over the world.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? And long may it continue, because hopefully someday soon, when all this is done and dusted, myself and Walshy and Big Matt will be back out in the road to meet all these wonderful fans from all over the world, which is one of my greatest pleasures in life.
Well, there's a couple options there. Texas, Florida maybe again. I think you and Miami last time.
Tags has been to India, he's been everywhere, Tags. He's been everywhere in America now.
You'll be waiting
but that's why
you next in the queue.
You see all these tweets and that. That's because we're willing to go over there, Gerry, and just show people what Leicester City's all about.
It's all thanks to you, Walshy. Thank you very much. But Ewan, they'll obviously be massively cheering on Leicester, as will all of those guys here in Leicester will be doing so as well. And it is such a big game, and they will be feeling the nerves just like anybody else, and you'll be feeling the nerves just like all those Leicester fans out there. But in a way, a little bit about what we were talking about earlier, how much of there is there almost take a step away and just kind of enjoy the fact that Leicester are involved in such a huge game? I know it's difficult because of the nerves and everything that comes with it, but just to take a step back and say it's a privilege to be in this position.
Well, that's where the club wants to be. That they deserve to be the season that they've had, and it's going to be a few twists and turns in the next hour and a half, lads. I can guarantee you that. Things are going to happen down at Stamford Bridge. Things are going to happen at the King Power. Lads have just got to be brave. You'd rather this pressure than the pressure that Villa, Bournemouth, and Watford they're facing. Fighting for their lives to stay in the Premier League. You'd rather this pressure, especially if you're Leicester, are going into that final game. I think, had you told any sort of Leicester fan at the beginning of the season that your Champions League fate will be in your hands going into the last game of the season. If you beat Manchester United at the King Power, then you will qualify for the top 4. I think any Leicester City fan would have taken that from day one, in all honesty. And that's the scenario that we're in now. So you've got to embrace it. The players have got to enjoy that pressure, because they will be feeling pressure. No two ways about it. They've got to be, as I say, they've got to be brave, positive. Just go and don't have any regrets after an hour and a half of football. That's the thing. Don't come off that field thinking, if only I'd done this, or I could have done a little bit more. Go out there and leave everything out on that pitch in the next hour and a half and a little bit more.
Absolutely, it's incredibly exciting. While Ewan was just talking there, we were getting a few shots from King Power Stadium. Jamie Vardy absolutely rifled one in the bottom corner in a shooting drill. So hopefully that's a good sign of things to come. Let's concentrate on the visitors, though. Manchester United, as Mark Ogden, senior writer at ESPN, says Manchester United will be ruining those missed opportunities in recent home games, and says the pressure is all on them.
There's no confidence amongst Man United fans right now. Seriously, there's a real kind of fear that they've blown it. I mean, I think that's just the natural pessimism of football supporters. But consider where United were when lockdown happened. They were improving, but they still had an outside chance to get to the top 4. So they've done a fantastic job to actually get in this position. They haven't lost since the restart. But they drew at home to Southampton last week. They drew at home to West Ham on Wednesday. So in many ways, 2 home games could cost them a place in the Champions League. So they've got themselves into a great position. The third, they haven't been as high as third since the opening weekend, but there's still this sense of anxiety and nervousness that they've had the chance, they've thrown it away. So because 1-0 defeat at the weekend could see them 5th unless dramatic things happen at Chelsea.
Bruno Fernandes has clearly come in and almost transformed the team. It's been an incredible signing since January. Is he very much the main man for Manchester United now?
Absolutely. I think he's been transformative. I think some people even compared to Eric Cantona in the sense that the way he's lifted the team and changed the direction. I think those kind of comparisons are a little bit overblown considering what Cantona did. But I can see it in the sense of the fact that United were drifting along when Bruno arrived. You know, they just lost to Liverpool and Burnley. They were looking in trouble, and all of a sudden he comes in and he changed the way they played. He's lifted the confidence. I think, you know, now Pogba's back, despite the fact that Pogba's the biggest, so-called biggest star beast earner, Bruno Fernandes is the player that makes them tick. So, you know, he's the player that United will rely upon on Sunday to get a result, to inspire them to get a result.
Walsh, you were speaking about Bruno Fernandes earlier, weren't you? And it's kind of been emphasised there by Mark Ogden, who obviously watches Manchester United week in, week out. He says Bruno Fernandes very much is the main man for United.
Yeah, I think we all know that. He certainly drifts into spaces and holes that can hurt teams, and his vision, his delivery, his pass, you know, his weight of pass and everything about him coming in has really transformed Man United. But I think that's why Chowdhury's probably been brought in, and maybe Perez has just took that back seat today, Gerry. I think that maybe that is the reason, really, because, you know, Chowdhury, him and Ndidi are going to certainly stop them threats coming through onto this defence. So I can understand why Brendan's gone for that. But it's interesting what the guy says. You know, that they've blown it, they've thrown it away. You know, they're holding all the cards at the minute, but they're nervous, aren't they? You can tell. And just looking at Leicester's warm up there, they look quite relaxed. You know, I like the look of Vardy's temperament there, and there's smiles on the faces, so they're going to have a go at this, and who knows? We're capable on our day, and I really hope that we do it. And you know, but looking at the faces, it's you can read a lot by looking into this, and you know, like I say, it's just that you know, on the day, it's performances on the day, that consistency in that performance. I hope they've got the Tottenham game out the system. Because sometimes, you know, you just remember that last game is still in your mind, some of us, but they don't need to be. They're not in a position to look at that, and just go out and have a real good go at this game and take the game to United. Let them know that first tackle that they're in a game. You know, Fernandes, you know, I hope that Chowdhury he's careful, that he doesn't go smashing into tackles and get himself in trouble. He's liable to do that, but he can let them know in the right way, and I think he has to with Fernandes. I think if he gets near him, give him a good, you know, hard, firm tackle, and let him know that they're in a game. It's the only way we can go about this. We did it ourselves, Gerry. We went to Man United and we went, right, let's just get stuck into them and let's have a go. And it was unbelievable what you can achieve.
Well, Gerry, these are those shots that we were looking at about 10 minutes or so ago at King Power Stadium. We saw them in the warm-ups that you were talking about. They're now doing the shooting drills, of course, and that steely determination you were talking about, you can actually see that in these players.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There you go, Jamie Vardy just rifles another one into the bottom corner there, just you know, to go on what you've just said. So yeah, you know, they've got, I think all strikers and forward players, they all love the shooting bit at the end. That's the only time they're ever happy. All players hate warming up, hate stretching, and they're only ever happy when they're shooting a goal. So, but yeah, as I said, you know, you can say that there is a determination, there is a focus. You know, we're just going to have to wait and see. You know, trying to predict the score of this game is just, you know, Walsh mentioned something about, you know, the Tottenham game last week, and you know, a week's a long time in football after you've been beat. You know, Brendan Rodgers was talking about the recovery process where Man United haven't had that, but a week is a long time in football when you've come away from Tottenham with a 3-0 defeat. It plays on your mind, it can play on your confidence. So that's an issue that he's had to deal with as a manager this week in the run-up to this game. Fitness levels are going to play a massive part as well, I think, in this game. Both teams, you heard Brendan say, Leicester looked a bit jaded against Tottenham. Manchester United have looked jaded in the last 2 or 3 games, it's fair to say. So there's just so many permutations how this game could go. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's so exciting. Ewan, what do you think Brendan Rodgers will be saying to his players? Right now, they'll be in the dressing room, of course, here at King Power Stadium. He'll be saying his final words. What do you think they'll be?
Go and enjoy it first and foremost. You know, it's been a terrific season. Go out with a bang. You're playing against a massive, massive football club. You deserve to be finishing in the top four, which would mean Champions League football next season, only for the second time in the club's history. You know, go and finish on a bang. You know, that's the most important thing. Cut out the little mistakes that caused our own downfall last week at Spurs. You know, sloppy little bits of play at times, playing in the right areas. Go out there with intensity. You know, with that high press closing down game that Leicester do. And I think when they do that, then they're capable of beating anybody. Playing high up the pitch, getting your forwards closing down, your midfielders pressing onto their midfielders, and go and make life hard for them and go out and win the game.
Well, we're just seeing some more pictures from King Power Stadium, Gerry, of James Maddison, Ricardo Pereira, Ben Chilwell all cheering the Foxes on from the stands today.
Yeah, and again, you know, you look at those four players, that's almost half your outfield players who would regularly start in the team, you have to say, sitting in the stands, which again must be a bit of a headache for Brendan Rodgers to try and, you know, get round. And so again, just to get to this stage where, you know, it's in Leicester's hands, but without those four players who, let's face it, all would have been starting today if they'd have been fit.
But I guess, Walshy, that it's then an opportunity for those players that are in the starting 11 to be like, to say for next season we deserve to keep our spots by winning today.
It's a massive opportunity. There's no doubt about that. You know, Luke Thomas will be definitely looking at that. Justin, obviously, you know, he's slotted in nicely and he looks like he's been an ever-present. You know, the youth in that squad is brilliant, but when you look at those in the stand, you're going to miss players like that. I see Ricardo in, and I'm mentioning one stat today, is that he's still in the Sky Sports blooming stats of tackles or something. He's still like second, and it's unbelievable. Yeah. He's not played since, you know, before Christmas, was it? When he got his injury, so it just shows you the potential of what we've got, and we're missing some very key players, and it shows you the strength in depth that we've got with the younger players, and you know, you just see Big George Hurst on the bench as well now, and you see him laughing, joking, you're thinking it's great to be amongst a first team, and he'll be relishing that opportunity again. So Leicester are in a good position in the way that the squad is formulated, and the strategy and in the youth policy, and the way that these lads are brought into the squad, and they're helped by Brendan. So the future's good.
Yeah, it is an exciting one, isn't it? Luke Thomas, Ewan at left back. I talked about Jamie Vardy's awards that he won in midweek. Luke Thomas won the development squad player of the season here at Leicester City. So a nice accolade for him. So again, just going into that game now, he'll have the confidence of how he's played in these opening few games for Leicester City, and it's been such a difficult time for him to be thrown in. The Sheffield United game at home was huge, of course. Then he played against Tottenham. I know the result obviously didn't go Leicester's way. So, what do you think that will have done for his confidence?
I thought the world are good. Big pressure games. That's what you want. If you're good enough, you're old enough. He doesn't look out of place in that side. Absolutely not. You know, he's obviously learned a great deal from watching the likes of Ben Chilwell and Christian Fuchs before him. He's a terrific talent. As a young lad, you would expect him to have bags of energy. A bit similar to last week. I think him and Mark Albright, and they'll have to be a bit more cautious because of the threat that Manchester United have got in Greenwood and Rashford and Martial, you know, pace to burn. So they might have to pick and choose the right times to make those forward runs. And those forward runs might have to maybe get Yuri Tielemans out there, you know, your Vardys, your Nachos. They might have to work the channels a bit more, because, you know, they got caught out, not them personally, but defensively as a team. Last week, Leicester got caught out on, as Brendan said, 3 occasions. You know, Spurs had 4 shots on target, 3 of which went into Kasper's goal. You know, that can't happen today. Those silly mistakes, you know, set pieces have got to be better time and time again. Last week, especially from corner kicks, not beating the first man. Spurs' second goal came from a Leicester City corner kick last week. You know, that can't happen. Those silly mistakes have to be cut out.
Gerry, we've talked a lot about Jamie Vardy and obviously that golden boot run and how he could hurt Manchester United, but Kelechi Iheanacho up front alongside him, when he plays, invariably he is involved in some way for Leicester City.
Yeah, he is, and you know, whether he's scoring or creating, you know, he's had a big part to play. When he's ever come on or when he's come into the team, we haven't always seen him this season. You know, it's fair to say. I think the only issue I have got is still that creative player in that number 10. I'm not saying Tielemans isn't, if that's where he's playing or whether he's playing in a three-man midfield. I'm not saying he can't create, but I just think with Madison and Perez, they're more suited to receiving the ball with their backs to goal, back to the opposition goal, and they're slightly more clever than Yuri is. And for me, when you've got Iheanacho, Vardy, / Madison or Perez, then you're seeing a real creativity, causing real problems for the opposition backline. We've seen it in the recent past as well.
Well, Brendan Rodgers and Wes Morgan leading Leicester City out onto the King Power Stadium pitch. A reminder, if you want to listen to the game on LCFC radio, you can do. There's commentary available with John Dunn and Matt Elliott there. A reminder, if you're watching us on social media here for City on the Sofa, that feed will stop, but you can continue to watch us online. So just go to lcfc.com/TV. Earlier this week, the club, alongside King Power, launched a new initiative called Thailand Smiles With You in a bid to get the nation back on track after the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh, hello. What's going on?
Not much. Just waiting for the football to get back to normal. How about you?
Yeah, me too. Really missing you guys. Could really do with a break though.
So when are you coming to see me?
Hopefully soon, but there's some work I've got to do first. Sawadee.
สวัสดีครับ Bye.